We are witnessing something amazing, at least to me, because this was my childhood game and it's the return of Max Payne 1 and Max Payne 2. Because Remedy is going to remake both the games with Rockstar officially in with this particular project. Remedy brought this idea of remaking Max Payne 1 and 2, and Rockstar, they loved it, and that's why they agreed to this project, and they are the one who will be funding for this particular project. However, the game is not gonna come out anytime soon because it's just on the concept stages. They just announced it, or they just kind of approved it, so it's gonna take a while. For those of you guys who don't know, Max Payne 1 and 2 were made by Remedy, however they were published by Rockstar, so Rockstar actually holds the name. They are the owners of Max Payne, the title, the IP, so they are the copyright holders. So if Remedy wanted to do anything with Max Payne, they have to ask permission with Rockstar first. It's really good that Rockstar actually accepted this because they made a remake, or remaster actually, of another game that, well, sucked. However, Remedy does have a lot of games coming up. They have Alan Wake 2, which is their biggest game. They also have another project coming up, and they probably have a Control multiplayer game on the way as well. All those three games are also currently working, and then Max Payne 1 and 2 remake. Speaking of Control, another important thing about the remakes of Max Payne 1 and 2 is that they're gonna use the same engine that they use for Control. It's called Northlight engine, and if anybody has played Control, it looked fabulous in that engine. So just imagine Max Payne 1 and 2 in that Northlight engine. It would look amazing. The Max Payne 1 and 2 were released way back, and I played Max Payne 2 a lot more than Max Payne 1, although I know about Max Payne 1. And the funny thing about Max Payne 1 is Max Payne himself was actually, well, Sam Lake, the director of Max Payne. Max Payne came out a little bit after Matrix, so they had that slow-mo action of where you jump and everything got slow-mo. They actually kind of took it from Matrix, and that was the only thing that was kind of inspired or similar to Matrix. It was an action game, and the story was pretty good as well because it was about an ex-cop who lost his wife and he's on a revenge. He's gonna kill everybody. I don't know exactly everything about Max Payne 1 because I did not play completely about like Max Payne 1. I did initially play Max Payne 2. That was my first game. That's where I started. And Max Payne 2 has a completely different face, a completely different face model, but the voice actor is the same. So it has amazing voice acting. One of the best probably voice acting in a video game. And the video game focuses on this comic book kind of, storytelling as well. The cinematics, there's no cinematics. There's very few of them, but the most of the story has been told via comic book, which is amazing. I love that aspect of it. Max Payne 1 and 2 were very well known. Obviously, they had that dark tone. However, Max Payne 3 was made by Rockstar. Remedy did not even make that game. So Rockstar turned it into a very different game, and it was not the same as Max Payne 1 and 2. Now, a lot of people might say that Max Payne 3 has a good story. I just never went through Max Payne 3 because I just disliked the environment, the tone of the game, because the tone of the game was not dark at all. It was very bright. It was like how a real world possibly would be. Overall, I'm just very much excited about Max Payne 1 and 2 being remade. Overall, it's one of my favorite games. I loved it when I was playing that in school. I played it so many times. I told my friends to play it. They played it so many times. It's just one of those games. And I can just dive into Max Payne 2 right now, play it overall, and love it from A to Z. It's amazing. It's really good. And I believe that Remedy will do a good job on making the remake. The next thing I wanted to talk about is Tomb Raider, because Crystal Dynamics is going to make a brand new Tomb Raider game with Unreal Engine 5 because Epic has released Unreal Engine 5 for everyone to download. If you don't know about Unreal Engine 5 and you play video games, what are you doing? Unreal Engine 5 is a big step into making video games, and I cannot wait to see what new games you will get to play with the new Unreal Engine 5. And Crystal Dynamics made the Tomb Raider reboot, which was the kind of the early journey of Tomb Raider or Lara Croft, who then eventually became the Lara Croft that we know. According to them, the general manager of the franchise of Tomb Raider, he said that, well, we're going to use Unreal Engine 5 to make sure that we make the best cinematic experience of Tomb Raider with a much better fidelity and all the features, all the amazing features as Unreal Engine 5 will use, and make it a much better looking game. Now, obviously, with Shadow of the Tomb Raider, that was the last Tomb Raider game that we got to see, it looked really good. It looked so good, and it was so complicated in a way that even the top GPUs were not able to play at 60 FPS. It was a conversation of its own, but now obviously things have changed. But the only problem with the Tomb Raider trilogy that we got to see is that the story was not that great. The story was the biggest issue. Even though some of the things in the third game were improved, especially the characters, you got to know so much. There was so much chemistry with the characters, but the story kind of fell off. It was the same with the previous game and the very first game. Well, the general manager even talked about how this game is going to be the future side of Tomb Raider. He says that our original trilogy back in 2013 was the story of Lara's early days when she was forged into a survivor, became a hero, and then ultimately the Tomb Raider. But the classic games featured a seasoned and confident adventurer traveling the world, unlocking its secrets, often standing alone against cataclysmic forces. We envision the future of Tomb Raider unfolding after these established adventures, telling stories that build upon the breadth of both core designs and Crystal Dynamics games working to unify these timelines. Now they've just announced this game and they are hiring people, which means it's gonna take a hell long of a time till the game actually gets announced to us, like gets a trailer. It's gonna take a long time. I believe it's gonna take at least 4 to 5 years before the game is even announced, and then maybe a couple of years till the game is released. So I'm expecting 2027, 2028 even. It's a little bit of a stretch, but I'm expecting that after that or on that year, we will get to see the new Tomb Raider game. But obviously Unreal Engine 5 is amazing and I cannot wait to see what they can show. So we have old games getting a remake, we have old games getting continuation. This is an exciting time to be a gamer. And speaking of being a gamer, someone who's a PlayStation gamer might even be more excited with the new PlayStation Plus that PlayStation has announced. To check more about that, is that PlayStation Plus better or worse than Xbox Game Pass? Check this video out to know more.